is called Thinking Like a Recruiter. The next one is going to be called, Next one is How to Get a Job through LinkedIn and Do Personal Branding through WordPress. And then the third workshop is going to be called The Interview Questions That No One Prepares You For, that no one asks, that no one prepares you to answer. And the fourth one is How to Get Fortune 500 companies to pay for your ideas. And so through Scythe, we generated over $10,000 in goods, services, or stuff, or money from private companies giving us sponsorship money to do projects. So I'm happy to share that with you guys. So the first thing is networking. So the word networking is really scary to me. Who else is scared of the word networking? Anybody? Okay. So how do you make it less scary? Well, you practice, just like anything else. You have to practice. So talking to grown-ups is really hard, right? Like, what do you say to grown-ups? I think that my life is super interesting. I think that the things that I do are really cool, but they don't care. Like, they don't care about the things that I think are cool. They don't watch Jersey Shore and want to talk about that with me at the water cooler. That's not what adults care about. So networking is generally going to be with adults, right? That's who you're going to be talking to. And so you have to figure out a way to communicate with them so that you seem like an adult too, because we don't. Who feels like an adult? I don't really feel like an adult. Kelly does. I don't really want to feel like an adult yet, but in order to communicate with adults in a networking arena, you need to be able to at least pretend like you're one. So what I'd like everybody to do is we're going to like pair up and everyone's going to get to know each other, and we're going to do some basic networking here. So there's not a lot of people, so I'm sure you guys will be pretty comfortable and you guys kind of know each other, so it'll be okay. But then tomorrow, who's going to Seminole Futures? Who plans on going to the career fair? Okay, so most of you. That's what this is mostly in preparation for, or like other career fairs that you want to go to, or future interviews that you want to go on. So why don't we have everybody stand up and talk to the person next to you, or behind you, or around you, and introduce yourself. Courtney, just jump into a group.
Hi, I'm Tommy. Nice to meet you. I go to FSU. Yeah, that's why I are you recording or? Oh. I'm a freshman. What's your major?
I'm an English major, editing, writing, and
So what drew you to business school?
well, I know Kelly,
Okay.
and so I've been talking to her a lot about how to do all this sort of thing.
So yeah, I'm an accounting major, and real estate's like my thing.
So guys, switch to another person that you haven't met yet.
Hi, I'm Tom. So I'm in the sophomore class. Oh yeah, I always go in trial and error class. Oh, great, that's how you do it now. Yeah, a lot more tests.
Second semester, he wants to go back to
Right, I just decided, I guess it's pretty close. Yeah,
I think that was like my first or second night.
Alright, alright, good job, guys. Alright, so everybody kind of go back. So that's not too scary, right? It's not so scary when you're in a small group and it's your peers, but when you're at the job fair and there's 100 tables with 100 employers and 20,000 students trying to fight for jobs, it can be really scary. I did an internship where I had to go to networking functions, and I had to like bring my business cards and pretend like I was a grown-up and talk to people and introduce them as like a financial representative with a company. And it was really scary because you're at like a restaurant with a bunch of other adults that are lawyers and doctors, and they sell different types of packages for things, or they're teachers, or they're consultants, or they're workshop leaders, or whatever. And I have no idea what to say to them. I have no idea how to pretend like I'm a grown-up. I look so young. So I think a lot of it is just being in the right mindset. So thinking to yourself that you are an adult, maybe reciting it to yourself a couple times, and just putting yourself in that mindset, and knowing that you're super interesting, because it's really interesting for older people to see really ambitious young people that have dreams and that have goals and that are making something out of themselves. So your story is really interesting, but also make sure that you listen to their story. Because what do people like the most? Talking about themselves. People love talking about themselves. So if you get someone else to talk about themselves and show interest in, their sailing hobby or underwater photography or whatever it is that they do that they think is interesting, then they'll remember you as someone who's interesting because you were interested. So that's something that's really important. People will remember you for being interesting if you show interest. So that's one little tip that I have for you guys to make networking less scary. So what's special about this workshop that I'm doing with you guys is this is what you're going to hear at every other career success workshop. I've been to probably 100 of these workshops where people tell you, this is how you prepare for the career fair. So what to wear? What are you going to wear? You're going to wear a suit, probably, preferably like a pantsuit or a skirt suit with a jacket, tie for the guys, preferably navy or gray, because people that have black suits, they assume that you bought them for a funeral. And so you want to know that you bought the suit specifically for interviewing and not just for a funeral. So if you have a gray suit or a navy suit, then that's going to be preferable. And statistically, navy shows up a little bit better, and they associate positive feelings with you when you're in navy. Anything that you wear to the strip, you do not wear to the interview. Let me say that one more time. Anything that you wear to the strip, you do not wear to an interview or to a recruiting event. The shoes that you wear to bowls are not the shoes that you wear to the recruiting fair. Blouses, everything. Have your own professional wardrobe that's different from your going out wardrobe. It's really complicated when people start to overlap, and it's noticeable as well, especially in shoes. Also, look at the company culture. So what are they wearing on their website? So if everyone's wearing pastel, or like everyone's like lime green is their thing, maybe show up in lime green and then see if they associate those feelings with you and they already feel like you're a part of their company culture because you did that little extra bit of research to find out. Another little tip that I have is I think that red used to be the power color, and everyone was wearing red. They're like, I'm going to have red tie and that's going to be my power color. I think that lime green and like salmony orange are going to be the new, like that's just my personal prediction. But I think that lime green is, like that's what the PowerPoint is in also, is going to be the new power color instead of red, because everyone's going to wear red to that first interview because they think that's the power color. If you wear lime green, I think that you'll have an edge. That's just my personal opinion. So what do you say? What do you say when you go to a recruiting event? An elevator speech is going to be crucial. So who knows what an elevator speech is? Okay, what's an elevator speech?
Elevator speech is introducing yourself and what you represent within a 60-second time period. The elevator speech reflects that, say you step in an elevator and you meet the person and you have a brief networking opportunity to tell them exactly what you're trying to do, what you can do for them, and why it would work out for them.
Excellent. So you've got 60 to 90 seconds to pitch yourself. It's basically a professional introduction. So you need to build some kind of rapport with them. So you do the handshake, do the eye contact, all that jazz. Talk to them about who you are. Tomorrow it'll be, hello, my name is Kelly, I'm majoring in this, and I know this about your company. I read recently that you were doing this, or this is really interesting to me. I'd like to know more about it. I'd like to be a part of your development program, or whatever. You have to have a call to action at the end of your elevator speech. If you don't have a call to action, nothing is going to come. So by call to action, what do I mean? I mean a statement that says how you're going to follow up. So here's my resume. When can I expect an email from you? Can I have your card? And then you send them an email. Some kind of call to action that indicates that it's not just talking for talking. You're talking to get some kind of result. That's extremely important in an elevator speech. And we'll go over that closer to the middle of the presentation. You guys have all heard the fishy handshake? You give someone a handshake and they give you a fish? You don't want that. Another pet peeve of mine is guys will shake girls' hands lighter than they will another guy. And that, we know that you're doing that. Don't do that. So for a handshake, about 2 pumps is what's going to be acceptable. So 1, 2. People that are doing 6 pumps, too many. So 2 pumps is going to be appropriate. And then how long do you keep eye contact with the person that you're talking to? Generally enough time to find out the color of their eyes. So it generally takes about 3 seconds. So you're not staring intently at their eyes for a long time for 6 pumps, right? 2 pumps, 3 seconds to figure out their eye color. So that's general stuff. I don't know if you guys are going to learn all those things in career workshops, but those are a summation of all the 100 workshops that I've been to in one slide. The rest of these slides are things that the recruiters don't want you to know. But I want you guys to know, because what I want is for us to get better jobs, for us to get more job offers, and then for all of our degrees to be worth more. So I'm going to share some secrets with you guys that I've learned that the recruiters don't really want you to know. So the first thing to question is follow the money, right? How do recruiters get paid? once we understand the recruiter's perspective and how they get paid, then you can determine how you're going to best be able to influence them. So how do you guys think recruiters get paid? Anybody have an idea? Have you guys thought about this before? It's an interesting thing to think about, right? Yeah.
By who they recruit?
Right. So their job is their salespeople. So they're supposed to sell you on their company, and they're supposed to attract the best talent. So the more qualified candidate they get for the position, the more money that candidate makes, and the longer they stay with the company, the more money the recruiter is going to make. So the happier you are in your job, the longer you stay, the happier they are because they get more money based on that. So they generally have like two different plans of compensation. So either they're going to get a percentage of your initial starting salary, so you start working for $50,000 a year, they're going to get a piece of that, right? So if you get a $100,000 a year job, they get a bigger piece of that because they're going to get a percent. So they want you to get more money. They want you to be earning more money because they earn more money. Or they're going to get a contract that stipulates how long you're going to be with the company. So if you stay for over 3 years or over 5 years, they get a bonus or they get more money for their clients that they book. So they want you to be happy. They want you to be the right fit. So knowing this about the recruiters, it's not so scary talking to them, right? Because they're on your team. They want you to get more money. They want you to stay with the company. They want you to be a good fit. They're not trying to trick you. They're not trying to, they are trying to weed people out, but it's because they want to get the best talent. And you want to be the best talent. So all you have to do is demonstrate to them that you're the best. And they're going to be so happy they met you. They're going to be so happy to hire you because that's what they're looking for. That's how they get paid. So the more money you make, the more money they make. So you guys are on the same team. So when you sit across the table from them, you're not opponents. You guys are allies. So thinking about that, it's way less scary talking to the recruiters, right? So what is the recruiter looking for? In my experience, there are two basic things that they're looking for, and they're not what you would expect. The first thing is, can they show you off to their boss and their clients? You don't really think about that, but they want to be impressed by you. They want other people to be impressed by you. So if you're the best pool, you're the best candidate in the pool, they want to show you off to their boss and to their clients. And the cooler you are, like the better qualified you are, the more prestige they get because they just hire better talent. And they can get promoted based on that. So if they're doing entry-level positions, if they're hiring for entry-level positions, they get some money. But how much are you going to make at an entry-level position? $35,000 to $50,000 maybe? If they are hiring really good people for those positions that are making a lot of money and staying there a long time, they get promoted to start hiring for better positions. They get to hire senior managers. So if they're hiring people that get paid $100,000, they get paid a lot more. So they want you to exceed. They want to show you off. Secondly, they want to think that you're cool. So why does it matter if the recruiter thinks that you're cool? Because they're going to be your first friend at that company. So just like you went from high school to college, you're going to go from college to the real world. And in your new job in the real world, you're going to have to make friends again, right? Because not, all your friends from college are going to go to the same job. Like all your friends from high school may have come to FSU. You are going to have to make new friends. And this recruiter is your first person that you know at that company. So they're probably going to be your first friend. So you guys want to be friends. Like you want them to think that you're cool. If they don't think that you're cool, they're not going to hire you. Because if you're not cool to hang out with, they are not going to hire you. So that brings me to the airport test. Who's ever heard of the airport test before? Okay. So what's the airport test?
They want to make sure that they know that you're someone that they would want to be stuck in an airport with.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So you guys are traveling together, right? You guys have a layover maybe in Atlanta for 2 hours. Are they going to pretend to be asleep, or are they going to talk to you? If they would rather pretend to be asleep than talk to you, you're not getting the job. It's not going to happen. So you have to be interesting enough and likable enough and cool that if they were stuck in an airport for 2 hours, they would want to talk to you. And this is a common trick used by recruiters to determine how they're going to hire you. So they all have their criteria, right? They have criteria. You have to be able to do certain analytical skills. You have to have certain leadership experience. Maybe you need to have a certain GPA or certain graduate school test scores. But the most important thing is that you're cool to hang out with. So, all right, how do you demonstrate in a 20-minute interview that you're cool to hang out with? Or like in a 90-second rapport building networking session at a career fair. You want to demonstrate that you're interesting, right, and that you're qualified, but also that you're going to be their friend. So a good way to do that is to not be nervous, right? The first thing is if you're like super nervous and anxious and awkward, then you're not cool, right? Awkward people are not cool. So you need to not be awkward. So how do you just turn off being awkward? It's really hard. You can't really turn off being awkward. You have to keep practicing. Right? So like the workshop that you guys did tonight, other workshops that you will go to, going to Seminole Futures tomorrow, talking to people that you wouldn't normally talk to, just getting that experience, that practice, that exposure is going to make you less awkward over time, right? I'm trying to think if there's any shortcuts for you guys to be like cool and less awkward. Building up in your head the confidence, like getting in the right mindset is going to help you to get to that space. So when you go to the career fair, you need to research the companies before you go. So if you go up to a table and they have some logo you've never seen before, and you think, oh, this might be interesting, and you go up to them and you say, hi, like what do you guys do? I will never hire you. Like recruiters will not hire someone who goes up to their table and asks what they do. You need to know what they do. If you don't know what they do, then you weren't interested enough and you shouldn't be talking to them because it's embarrassing for you and it's offensive to them. So there's a list for seminal features for that example tomorrow. There's a list on the Career Center website. You can see all the companies. You can go to their corporate website. You can read their press releases beforehand. So you guys have a little homework tonight if you're going to go tomorrow to do some research on your top firms. Anybody already pick out the companies they want to talk to tomorrow? Anybody already pick them out in their head or otherwise? What companies do you want to talk to tomorrow?
Well, kind of. I just saw that there's a bunch of categories, like for what majors and stuff, so I can just weed them out by that, basically.
Okay.
Like the ones that are looking for accounting majors that like automatically just throw out.
Yeah. Right, so like spend some time on the website looking at the companies. It's like when you go to Disneyland, right? You get the map and it's all the rides that you're going to go on, but like you might not be able to go on all of them or you have to pick a certain order because there's going to be really long lines and they're going to be really popular. So you got to pick the ones that you're going to go to. And so before you go to Disneyland, like at least I look at the map and figure out where I'm going to go and like number one, I want to go on this like mountain ride. Number one, I have to do that. So do the same thing when you go to the career fair. It's just like going to Disneyland. Like you got to set out your route of attack. And you got to do a little bit of research to figure out what you're going to do when you get there. So that's extremely important. Research the company, know a little bit about them. You don't have to know, their stock numbers. You don't have to know their CEO. You don't have to know where they were founded. But you do need to know what they do, essentially. And that helps you with really good questions, too. So when you talk to them and you say, I recently read that you guys are expanding into a new territory in the Northeast. How is that going to affect this position that you're hiring for? That's memorable, right? Because if someone else asks them what do you do, you're going to stand out. Right? Your competition is not that difficult to beat. I promise you guys. Like the level at which, I've worked at the last career fair for the last 6 semesters, and I've seen everything. And you'd be surprised how many kids are going to be like, so what do you guys do? They'll wait in line for 10 minutes to ask them what they do. Google it on your smartphone while you're waiting in line. Like you don't even have to do a ton of research tonight. Just Google it on your smartphone while you're waiting in line if you want to talk to them impulsively. So make sure you do your research. All right, this is one of my favorites. Today is a great day. So this is about getting yourself in the right mindset for your approach. So today that's like a kitten looking in the mirror and it's lying. So you're building yourself up, right? You're building up your confidence. So the point is, you know what you're good at, right? So think about what you're good at. Think about those 3 core qualities that you're really good at. So maybe you're really good at organizing. Maybe you're really good at planning things. Maybe you're really good at inspiring other people or leadership. Or maybe you're good at washing cars. Or maybe you're good at babysitting. Like whatever it is that you're good at, think about it. And think about how those skills are transferable to a job. So if you're a waitress at Chili's and you're really good at waiting on people, then you have really good customer service skills, right? That's a transferable skill. So because you can wait on people and tables and deal with conflict when it arises and deal with managing a bunch of different things at once, you have really great time management skills and customer service skills. Those are transferable to a bank. Those are transferable to Starbucks. They're transferable to any business. You can transfer those skills over to. And so think about those. So everybody write down on your piece of paper 3 skills that you're really good at. And they can be general skills, but then make sure that you get to transferable skills eventually. So think of 3 skills that you're really good at, and then how they can be transferable to another company. So would anybody like to share their skills?
I'd love to.
All right, what are your skills, Daniel?
Mine is critical thinking and analytical skills,
Okay.
Mathematics and finance, and understanding the repercussions of any decision,
business world, and social circumstances, face-to-face, networking. And those are, I'd say, my three.
Those are very transferable. Those are very, very transferable. Good job. Who else wants to share theirs?
Hardworking, dedicated. These are more like adjectives, but I'll get into the skills. I'm cooperative, but I have analytical and interpersonal skills that I think could, I could use for tomorrow to tell them that I have.
Who else wants to share their skills? One more. We'll do one more. Okay, let's hear it.
I have customer service skills, database management, and copy editing.
Okay, excellent. So you guys did a really good job making them transferable, actually. I was not really expecting that. That's super. So when you can get them to the point where they're transferable, that's really, really good. So another workshop I'm going to do in the future is about interviewing. So when you actually do your interview, the most important thing that you can do is take your skills and then think of examples that demonstrate those. So when you say you're really good, you have really strong analytical skills. That doesn't mean anything to me unless you tell me I had a project, I had to determine how many stores we were going to close or stay open in the simulation that I was doing, and I implemented this decision matrix to determine, based on the location, the population, the number of people, and the demand, how many stores we were going to keep open. That demonstrates analytical skills, right? So think of stories that demonstrate analytical skills, or whatever it is that your skills are. Customer service. We had a customer. They were crazy. I had to deal with it. They left and they bought a gift card. They brought their whole family there for Christmas the next year. Whatever. Think of really memorable, good stories that you can use in your interview, and that'll be for another workshop. But yeah, building yourself up so you know what you're good at, right? I'm really good at organizing. I'm really good at inspiring and leading. Whatever those things are. Think of your examples. So then before you go into the career fair tomorrow, recite them back to yourself. Remember what you're good at, because you're going to use that in your elevator speech. And then when you go into the recruiting fair and you talk to that table and you did your research, you know this company's going to be the company for you. You know that you want to work for them one day or do an internship with them in the summer. You can say with confidence, I know that I'd be a great fit for your group because I'm really good at XYZ. And that's what your company values. So you know it's the best day of their life because they get to meet you. Because they didn't know that there was someone as qualified and perfect for their position as you until just now. So it doesn't matter what was going on in their life before. It doesn't matter what was going on in your life before. Everything is on pause for those 90 seconds or for that 20 minutes during the interview when you get to say, meet me. You get to meet me because I'm going to be perfect for you. It's the best day of their life because they just see money signs, right? Because we know how they get paid. They get paid by how awesome you are. So if you're really awesome, they get paid. That's good for them, right? So build up, get in that headspace, right? I want to you guys need to smile a little bit more. Get excited about that. I'm so excited about that. I think that is really important. Okay, follow-up is also extremely important. So all of these skills are not going to be useful to you at all if you don't follow up. So what do I mean by follow-up? Get their card. It doesn't matter how many cards you give out. It doesn't matter how many resumes you give out. If you don't get their card, nothing is going to happen. They might not be able to realize how awesome you were from those 90 seconds and that resume. It might not happen, right? Even though we know that we're going to be the lion in the mirror, not the cat, it still might not happen. So we need to make sure that we have a way to follow up with them. So what's the time frame that's appropriate to follow up after a recruiting fair? Within 2 days is what I would say. So they're traveling, right? So they're going to be in this city, they're going to be in Gainesville tomorrow, they're going to be in Jacksonville the next day. So 2 days for them to get back to their home office. By Monday at the latest, since the career fair is going to be on Thursday, right? So 2 business days is what I would recommend. So what do? You send them an email with their card. It was really nice to meet you. Send your resume as an attachment again, and say it was really nice to meet you. I enjoyed learning about your program. I'm really interested in a summer position with an internship for you. And thanks so much for coming out. Whatever. Follow up. Follow up is so important. If you don't follow up, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. You don't know how to practice. You're super ready. You build yourself up in your head. You understand how they're going to get paid. You know you did your research. Everything is perfect. If you don't follow up with them, likely it's not going to result in anything. So follow-up is super important. The other thing about follow-up is after you do your interview, it's really important to send a handwritten thank you card, because when was the last time you guys checked your mail? A couple days ago, maybe a week for some people. What is the first thing that you read when you get your mail? You flip through, it's like bill, whatever, like some gram from grandma. If it's handwritten, if the letter is handwritten instead of a computer, you will read that first every time, right? Every single time you get your mail, you will always read the handwritten note before you read all the printed notes. Every time. Even if it's that fake cursive for a wedding invitation, you'll still read that first because it's fake cursive and you're like, oh, maybe somebody read this, I can't tell. So if you write a handwritten thank you card with their address on it, they'll open that first. They'll keep it on their desk maybe for the whole day. So if you get desk space on their desk, you get head space in their head. If you get headspace in their head, way, way more likely your resume is going to end up at the top of the pile or in its own pile by itself. So you want to get that desk space so you can get that headspace. That's really important. So this is one sentence that I think everyone should memorize. How can I be a more competitive candidate for your program? I have all my students memorize this when I teach a class. This is the most important part of your elevator speech. This is your call to action, right? This is important for a couple reasons. So how can I be more competitive for your program? You can fill in, for your leadership development program internship this summer, or whatever it is. So put like a date at the end of it. So how can I be more competitive for your, spring hires? Try and associate a date with it, or the title of the program. But insert the program there. This is important for a couple reasons. When you ask them how you can be more competitive, they have to tell you, right? So they say, we're looking for this, this, and this. And if you do those things, then they're gonna hire you. It's not a secret anymore. There's no, no one's gonna ask them what they have to do to get a job. But if you ask them straight up, they will tell you straight up, and then you just do those things. It's not complicated, and no one asks, right? Nobody, when they go to a career fair, asks, how do I get a job at your company? Because they're afraid that they're not gonna tell them. But I'm telling you a nicer way of saying, how can I get a job at your company, by saying, how can I be a more competitive candidate? And they have to tell you. Well, we're looking for accounting majors who are really involved in school. And if you're young, if you're a freshman or a sophomore or a junior and you have time to do those things that they tell you, you can see them again next semester when they come to Seminole Futures and say, I remember last year you told me that it would be a good idea for me to get involved. I actually just became treasurer of this organization. I'm really proud of that, and it was because of you that I did it. Now they're invested in you. They're invested in your growth. That's super good because they're on your team now, remember? You guys are on the same team. So if you get to work with them and you ask them, what can I do? And they say you need to do this, and then you do it, you're on their team. They're rooting for you. When the recruiter is rooting for you, pretty good chances you're going to get the job, right? Pretty good chances when they're your cheerleader. So you want to make the recruiters into your cheerleaders. And it's so simple, but no one thinks about it. All you have to do is ask them, how can I get a job at your company? What can I do to be the best? I want to be the best. How do I get to the top of the pile? How do I get to my own pile? They'll tell you. They will tell you. If they don't tell you, ask them again, but in a different way. And they'll tell you, I promise. And then do it. If you want the job and they tell you what to do it, and then tell them that you did it. And they have to hire you. It's not a mystery. They have to hire you. And they'll want to, and they'll be on your team, they'll be your advocates, they'll be your cheerleaders. What more could you want? So this is a really important sentence I'm really excited to share with you guys. So now we're going to do elevator speeches. So you guys know what an elevator speech is, you guys know that it's important, and you're going to have to deliver probably 10 of them tomorrow, right, if you're going to go to the career fair. So what are the components of an elevator speech? You need your professional introduction, right? So hello, my name is, these are my majors, these are my 3 things I'm really good at, maybe one example of one of those things that you're really good at. And then you need to have some kind of rapport builder, so something about the company. So do a little bit of research on the company and figure out something that they do. So I was at a career fair last semester and I talked to LexisNexis, which is a database that maybe you guys have used for research. And they're a database where you can look up different companies and see how much money they made in the last year. And they also do a lot of stuff for private companies to do independent research. So when I met the guy from LexisNexis, I said, hello, my name is Kelly. I'm majoring in entrepreneurship, sales, and management. And I just have to tell you, I'm really familiar with your company because this summer when I was in London, I was doing an internship and it required a lot of research. I needed to be able to get the executive information for a bunch of different companies, including Virgin. And Virgin pretty much owns England, right? Like Virgin owns every kind of company in England. So because of you, I was able to use LexisNexis to find out the executive information, their contact information through Jigsaw, to find all these executives. I had an edge over all the other interns, and I'm the only one who booked an account. And I booked an account with Virgin to be on our website. So I was the #1 intern, and it was because your services helped me. So I had some memorable story to include. And I said, how can I be a more competitive candidate for your leadership development training program starting in May? That's the elevator speech. So you've got your introduction, who you are, what you're about. Have some kind of little rapport builder / skills story. So you might not have that kind of interaction with the business, right? But think of something that's interesting. I read recently that you guys are really focusing your efforts on inner city outreach. I was once a volunteer with Boys and Girls Club in my community. I understand the importance of that, and I value your company's initiatives to do social responsibility projects. Whatever. Think of something that's a good rapport builder that demonstrates skills that you guys have that are memorable. And then do your closer. How can I become a more competitive candidate for your program? All right, so everybody's going to write their elevator speeches, and then we're going to do a couple.